You're tuned in to the Meta Talk,
where we don't just talk.
but we also talk about talk. We analyze communication and discover that ordinary conversations are far more complex than they appear. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Ampa. We're both public school teachers, and we will be your host on today's discussion.
Whether we're teaching in classrooms, presenting at conferences, defending research, conducting interviews, hosting webinars, participating in faculty meetings, engaging in academic discussions, communication is at the center of what we do.
And while many people focus on what people say, discourse analysis are equally interested in how people communicate, how interactions are organized, and how meaning is created within specific contexts.
Today's episode is titled Analyzing Spoken Discourse in Academic Events. And yes, before anyone asks, we're essentially spending the next few minutes talking about people talking.
Which sounds funny until you realize that entire fields of study have been built around exactly that idea.
And honestly, once you start studying discourse, you never attend a presentation, webinar, interview, or Zoom meeting the same way again.
Very true, Sir Kevin. And today, we will examine spoken discourse in academic presentations, conferences, webinars, thesis and dissertation defenses, panel discussions, classroom lectures, and academic interviews.
So let's begin our meta talk. Ma'am Pam, let me start with a simple question. What exactly is spoken discourse?
The pleasure is mine, Sir Kevin. Spoken discourse refers to language used in actual communication situation. Rather than examining individual sentences in isolation, discourse analysis focuses on language in context, meaning how people use the language to communicate, interact, organize ideas, and create meaning. In fact, Brown and Yuan in 1983 described discourse as a language in use, and emphasized the importance of studying language as it occurs in the real communicative situations rather than as an isolated linguistic forms.
So, spoken discourse can be found in many professional and academic settings then. For example, a teacher explaining a lesson, a professor delivering a lecture, a researcher presenting findings, a journalist conducting an interview, and a doctoral candidate defending a dissertation.
Exactly. In all of these situations, people are not simply exchanging information. They are participating in a socially organized interactions.
Which means that when someone says, Good morning, today I will discuss my research findings, in that line, they're not just speaking. Instead, they are beginning a discourse event.
And discourse analysis immediately become interested in questions such as who is speaking, who is listening, how is the talk organized, and what is the speaker trying to accomplish.
In other words, discourse analysts hear a presentation and think, interesting data, while everyone else probably in the room is just taking notes.
Yes, and let's move to one important perspective: critical discourse analysis, or CDA. According to Wodak and Mayer, CDA examines discourse in relation to power relations, institutional processes, and broader social practices.
In simpler terms, discourse doesn't happen in a vacuum. Communication is often influenced by the roles people occupy in the society, in the organizations, or in the institution.
Think about the situations. A school head speaking to teachers, another a dean addressing fully or the faculty members, and the news anchor interviewing a government official. Lastly, another situation that I'd like to share to you, a dissertation examiner questioning a doctoral candidate.
Aha. Each participant occupies a particular role, and those roles influence who asks questions, who provides answers, who evaluates, and even who is evaluated.
For example, during a dissertation defense, an examiner might ask, could you explain why you have selected this methodology?
At one level, that's a request for clarification, but from discourse perspective, it may also function as an evaluation of the candidate's reasoning.
Yes, as educators, we have all experienced something similar when a supervisor says, can we discuss something?
Well, that question sounds friendly, Ma'am Pam.
Yeah, but your brain immediately starts reviewing every report you've submitted for the last 6 months.
That's right. Which reminds us that the meaning of discourse often goes beyond the literal words being spoken.
And you want to say something, Sir Kevin?
Now, let's move beyond words. Talking about beyond words. Mackin and Mayer in 2012 argue that communication is multimodal.
This means that meaning is created through the interaction of multiple semiotic resources. Resources such as language, images, sound, gesture, visual design, rather than through words alone.
Let me ask you something, Ma'am Pam. Have you ever watched a presentation where the slides looked impressive, but the audience seemed completely disconnected?
Absolutely, I've seen a lot of that, but I've also seen the opposite. What do you mean by opposite? A presenter may have very simple slides, but through effective delivery, the voice, the gesture, and the audience engagement, everyone remains attentive.
That's because communication isn't just about content, it's about other things such as performance, delivery, and interaction.
And whether we're attending webinar, watching a conference presentation, listening to a podcast, participating in a training program, or viewing a television interview, meaning is communicated through multiple channels simultaneously.
For our classmates who work in media, this probably sounds very familiar. A news broadcast depends not only on what is said, but also on visuals, camera framing, voice, timing, graphics, and presentation style.
Yes, and let's now examine the study by Adele in 2023. The study focuses on meta discourse in spoken student presentations.
And since we're hosting the Meta Talk, talking about meta discourse feels especially appropriate.
Exactly. Meta discourse refers to the language speakers use to organize communication and guide the audience through their presentation.
Examples include, let me begin with the background of the study. Now, let's move to the findings. And to summarize the main points,
Adele argues for a move approach, which focuses on the larger communicative actions rather than simply counting individual meta discourse markers.
and so instead of asking, How many times did the speaker use transition words? We ask, what is the speaker trying to accomplish at this point in the presentation?
These moves help speakers organize information and help audience follow the discussion.
Or, as I like to say, meta discourse prevents the audience from getting lost halfway in the presentation.
Mhm.
Now, let's look at the study by Beltran Palanques and Querol Julian in 2024. The researchers examined a presentation genre called Pecha Kucha. The term Pecha Kucha comes from a Japanese word, and this means chit chat or casual conversation. It was created by architects Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham, and this is their way to make presentations more concise and engaging.
Wow, concise, big word. But actually, it is indeed true. The format is simple but challenging. Imagine 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, and automatic slide advancements, Sir Kevin.
And so, time management, I would say, is non negotiable. It's a non negotiable requirement.
The study examined how presenters coordinate speech and visual to create meaning.
Because in a format like this, what you say and what appears on the screen must work together effectively.
Yes. The study highlights how academic presentations are multimodal events in which meaning emerges through the interaction of speech, visual, timing, and presentation design. The
And
findings that Becca Kucha can be a valuable teaching tool for developing students' multimedia literacy, communication, and presentation skills in a higher education.
I would say it's probably the closest academic equivalent to live broadcasting in media, wherein everything happens on schedule, ready or not.
Yes, ready or not. Have you experienced, Sir Kevin? What are the challenges you have you have had while making your presentation? Because
There
as
are a
a
lot
teacher,
of challenges, definitely, Ma'am Pam, from the preparation up to the
Mhm.
actual presentation, and even after the presentation there are a lot of challenges. And if this was a live discussion with our classmates, I'm sure they would be sharing other challenges also in relation to giving presentations. How about you, Ma'am Pam?
Yeah, actually, I'm thankful that you asked me. No, for us, we belong to the our generation is different from yours. No? When somebody is not so techy, it's really a challenge. Right? Diba? Uh, like right now, I use the PowerPoint, but when I came to know Canva and other type of presentation, it's quite enjoyable but challenging. But syempre, as teachers, we are very resources dealing with our work.
And we're very adaptable as well. So instead of
Yes,
resisting these changes, these modern technology, we definitely adapt. And I'm sure, Ma'am Pam,
yes.
those classmates of ours, as I've mentioned,
Mm-mm.
they have different responses. And as we continue, we are going to look into the connection of our answers to the next studies.
Yes. So shall we continue? Our next study comes from Valera Surado, Ruiz Madrid in 2019. What does it say? The researchers examined a strategy called character enactment in a conference presentation. This study explores persuasion in conference presentation from a again, multimodal perspective. What is this? and recognizing effective communication, which involves more than the spoken language alone. The researchers found that the speakers often persuade audiences through character enactments. Wow. Na- Did you notice how I said the character enactment? So,
Right. That's your forte, Ma'am Pam. Character
yes,
enactment, being an actor while you are
yes,
delivering the discourse. Character
yes.
enactment occurs when speakers recreate another person's words, including the voice, even the perspectives or behavior.
Yes, a presenter may imitate the participant's voice, even the expression, or should I say, the posture while telling the story.
The researchers found that these enactments involve a combination of words, intonations, gestures, even gaze, facial expressions, and head movements.
This isn't limited to academic conferences, Master Kevin. We see similar practices in classrooms, interviews, journalism, broadcasting, storytelling, and everyday conversation.
In fact, like us, many teachers become excellent character actors whenever
Right.
they're retelling classroom stories.
Especially when they are impersonating a principal who says, just a quick reminder, right before a 30 minute speech.
Budol pala yung quick reminder. 30 minutes pala yung speech. Tapos may kasama pa yung boses. Siguro malaking boses ng principal. Just a quick reminder. So something like that.
Now let's discuss one most familiar aspect of spoken discourse. It's called turn taking. And Kevin, since I'm talking about turn taking, I am now officially giving you the floor.
Oh, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Pam. I appreciate this orderly allocation of speaking rights.
So please use your turn responsibly.
Turn taking refers to how participants coordinate who speaks, when they speak, and how interaction progresses. We can encounter turn taking in different scenarios or in different settings in classrooms, interviews, conferences, panel discussions, podcasts, and even in webinars.
Even this presentation depends on the successful turn taking.
Also, it's worth mentioning that the study of turn taking has a long history in conversation analysis. Again, that's conversation analysis. One of the foundational works is the study of Sachs, Shegloff, and Jefferson back in 1974, which explains how participants systematically organize speaking turns so that conversations can proceed in an orderly manner.
And their work continues to influence contemporary studies of interaction, including research on online and technology mediated communication.
Meanwhile, Choi and Oh recently examined turn taking within technology mediated interaction from a conversation analysis perspective. More broadly, turn taking remains one of the primary mechanisms through which spoken interaction is organized. So, what are the findings of the study? They found that regularly participating in conversations with ChatGPT-4, take note, Mambam, AI, ChatGPT-4, helped a Korean EFL learner improve her English interaction skills, including how she took turns, how she responded, and how she kept on going in the conversation. Although some AI limitations occur, such as giving overly long responses and ending pauses too quickly, affected the interaction. Still, ChatGPT worked as a useful conversational partner, And this supported language learning and complemented teacher-led instruction.
Because, Sir Kevin, communication is not only about speaking, it is also about listening, responding, and recognizing opportunities to participate.
Something that is sometimes not happening during online meetings, especially when, Ma'am Pam,
Especially when two participants simultaneously say, "No, you go ahead."
and unfortunately, neither person goes ahead.
And let's conclude our discussion of the students with Tandem in 2025. The study examines questioning interactions during PhD vivas, otherwise known as oral examination or oral defense of the PhD dissertation or thesis. Vivas is a short form of viva voce, a Latin phrase meaning my live voice. As you can see, I have a background live voice of not dissertation defense, but dogs. Okay, please bear with me. Okay, and I just pause for a while and okay, now they are about to stop. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. Okay. So this study examines how questioning interactions are constructed during PhD vivas, focusing on both spoken communication and embodied actions such as gesture, gaze, and the use of physical objects. The findings reveal that examiners' questions can sometimes communicate expectations in which that are unclear or difficult for candidates to interpret, leading to misunderstanding during the viva.
This study also highlights the important role of embodied resources and possible disciplinary differences in questioning practices, offering valuable insights for PhD candidates, examiners, and researchers of academic interaction. One of the key insights is that questions can perform and can be used, can have multiple functions. They may request clarification, challenge arguments, evaluate understanding, encourage elaboration, and communicate expectations.
One interesting example discussed in the study is when an examiner says, it's just a comment, not really a question. Yet, candidates may still interpret that the comment is requiring a response.
The power of questions, indeed, because meaning depends not only on grammar, but also on context, institutional roles, participant expectations, and interactional cues.
In other words, the most important question in the room isn't always the one with a question mark at the end.
I agree. So, what have we learned from today's Meta Talk?
First, spoken discourse is a language in context.
Second, discourse can be examined in relation to power relations and institutional roles.
Third, communication is multimodal. Words interact with visuals, gestures, gaze, posture, and voice.
Next, that presentations are organized through meta-discursive moves that guide audiences.
Fifth, interaction depends on turn taking and participation management.
And finally, questioning practices reveal how expertise, expectations, and institutional relationships are negotiated in academic settings.
And whether we are public school teachers, college instructors, graduate students, researchers, journalists, broadcasters, communication specialists, or media practitioners. Spoken discourse shapes our professional lives.
From classrooms and conference halls to newsrooms, studios, faculty rooms, webinars, and dissertation defense panels, communication is never and will never be a simple exchange of information. It's also the construction of meaning.
And that is why discourse analysis remains an important tool for understanding how communication works in the real world.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode.
This has been
The
the
Meta Talk, where we don't just talk,
We Talk About Talk.
every presentation has a purpose,
Every question has a function,
and every conversation.
is a potential data.
Stay engaged.
Stay better.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.